Yet many of us resist it, fearing uncertainty and discomfort. However, history and personal experience prove that by embracing change, we often unlock growth and new opportunities in our life. Whether in business, personal development, or career transitions, well, those who adapt to change often, they find themselves in a better position than before. And so in today's discussion, I'll explore why change is essential and how to navigate it effectively. Also, I'm going to give some examples, including my own and others, of individuals and companies that have thrived because they embraced this transformation. So stay tuned. This podcast is brought to you by DJ Works Media and HalftimeSuccess.com, offering resources and insights for those at mid-career or the halftime of life. Explore our diverse categories, including courses, coaching, health, music, software, and travel. We're here to help you make this stage of life your best ever. So get our new articles, downloads, and podcasts by signing up for weekly updates at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode. So, why is change necessary for growth? Well, even though I know it will unlock opportunity, well, I don't always embrace change with a great attitude. In fact, my routine, it feels comfortable. I've got my schedule, I've got my place of work, and I've got my routine, and I'm happy. And part of why I get a lot done and finish projects is, well, it's because of that routine. But interruptions do happen. And some of those interruptions, they involve me taking a step back and scheduling time to think. Well, this is especially hard for a doer, and I'm a doer. And recently I took a huge step back in the middle of writing my next book as I needed to journal, think, and not just write. And I knew to be most effective, there were extra sources I needed to study and understand in order to communicate them most effectively. And I had to step out of my comfort zone and do some additional reading and rewriting from a little different perspective. And I knew I needed to add updated information with revisions to the strategy that I'd already created, especially with the explosive growth of AI. And that change alone has challenged me to innovate, problem solve, and push beyond my preconceived knowledge and ideas. So without taking that step back and making changes, I'm not only limiting my own growth, but really I'm limiting the growth of others. It feels uncomfortable when there's uncertainty and there's really no set pattern. I'm making my own. But it helps me to understand more of the fear and uncertainty that others are also facing with that growing technology and a world that just looks different. And certainly, I don't want to stagnate. I want to grow. But like a new bulb has to be watered and then pushed up through the dirt to become a beautiful flower, well, our process of growth is much the same as that flower. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, the company was on the brink of collapse. You probably know this story. But by embracing radical change, cutting outdated products, focusing on innovation and rebranding, Apple's image and Jobs' image, it led the economy or the company to become one of the most successful brands in the world. And his willingness to disrupt the status quo and reimagine Apple's future, it unlocked unprecedented growth and opportunity. So today I'm going to cover 5 ways to unlock that opportunity with the right mindset. And number 1 will be to reframe uncertainty as opportunity. And one of the greatest barriers to success is that fear of the unknown. And we ask ourselves, will we ever break through and be successful? Well, I've been a part of the music scene for a long time, and I have watched many put out project year after year. And many of those projects, well, they'll never be heard by most people. But there's a lot of hope, and it's necessary to view uncertainty as an opportunity rather than a threat. And often there are new pathways that are discovered for growth and opportunity. And with music, those pathways can be licensing, they can be downloads and other avenues, even sheet music. I've used even some of those. And many women, as another example, are familiar with Spanx. And this is a body smoothing undergarment with the aim of creating a smooth and sculpted silhouette. I'm not sure I've always had success with that, but Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, many have used this, she faced numerous rejections when pitching her idea for a footless pantyhose. And without a background in fashion or business, she was met with skepticism from industry professionals. But instead of giving up, she saw each rejection as an opportunity to refine her product and her approach. And it was uncomfortable. But eventually, a Neiman Marcus buyer, they took a chance on her. And when Oprah Winfrey, she endorsed Spanx, well, then they really became a billion dollar brand. And so Sarah didn't quit. She kept pursuing those opportunities. So how do we apply this? When faced with uncertainty, we can ask ourselves, what doors could this open? Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, we can focus on what new possibilities might emerge. So number 2, develop adaptability. And the ability to adapt is a crucial skill in today's rapidly changing world. And I always think of how chameleons can change color with their surroundings. And there are those that feel like they have to adapt their personality or their opinions in order to be accepted. But hey, that can be destructive. However, there is a positive aspect of adjusting to new environments with communicating effectively without losing our core identity. And those who remain rigid in their thinking or business models, they often struggle. But while those who embrace that change can thrive. For example, Amazon started as an online bookstore in 1994. They still sell a lot of books. But Jeff Bezos, he always had a bigger vision. And when e-commerce expanded, he adapted. He added more product categories, launching third-party seller options, and eventually transforming Amazon into a tech and logistics giant with an unlimited marketplace. We can order almost anything. And the biggest adaptation, many are not as familiar with this, it came with the Amazon Web Services, the AWS, which turned Amazon into a cloud computing leader, generating really billions and billions in revenue. So how do we apply this? Success often requires shifting directions and seeing where the market is going. It's all about adjusting, and the more adaptable we are, the easier it is to spot and seize new opportunities. And this is a challenge for entrepreneurs. So number 3, learn and evolve. Lifelong learning is essential in a world where industries shift and technology advances and skills, they've just become outdated. And those who continue to invest in education and mentorship, they stay ahead of the curve. And it's really why I've continued to not only continue my own lifelong learning, but offer additional courses and mentorship to others to help them move along. It's a passion of mine. Elon Musk, he didn't have formal degrees. We've heard a lot about him lately. But he didn't have those degrees in rocket science or automotive engineering, yet he built SpaceX and Tesla into industry leaders. He's doing what a lot of people can never dream of doing. And I found it fascinating to read in one of his biographies by Walter Isaacson, I put the link in the article, that even though he had a tumultuous upbringing in South Africa, he read everything he could get his hands on, including the encyclopedia after he had read all the books in the library. Can you imagine? And as he devoured those books, he sought mentorship and surrounded himself with experts. And his ability continuously, he learned and evolved. And And it's allowed him to revolutionize multiple industries from space travel to electric vehicles. He's taken those risks, but he's studied them as well. So how do we apply that? Well, no matter what our industry or stage of life, there's always something new to learn, especially with technological advances and the emerging marketplace. And expanding our knowledge and skills, well, it keeps us relevant and competitive. It's not always comfortable, but it's important. And the amount of information and materials online, well, it really does make it easy to pursue almost any additional topics. So there's really no excuse. So number 4, take small strategic steps. I love this. Major change, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And the most successful transformations they happen through these little, tiny, small, consistent actions over time. And we can see this as we read a book like Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he emphasizes that success isn't about massive overnight changes, but with those small repeated actions. And this research, it's expanded in his book. Not in his book. Of course, it's expanded, but it really comes from the book Tiny Habits by V.J. Fogg, which documents the research. But James Clear, he built his brand into a career by writing one article per week on his blog, which eventually led to that book and a global platform. And his philosophy has helped countless individuals break through stagnation by focusing on that 1% daily improvement. So we can apply this by thinking about this. Most big changes, they start with that small strategic step. And momentum, it builds on momentum. However, just like a butterfly has to work at breaking out of that cocoon, true transformation, it occurs with action. Change is not easy. I know this better probably than anybody, and it's not always comfortable. It takes a mindset willing to explore new opportunities and options. It takes work. It takes effort. And in my case, it takes a willingness to not rush a project before taking a step back for time to think, rewrite, and even change direction slightly. And whether navigating a career shift for your next chapter, expanding a business, or just looking to grow personally, embracing change is key to unlocking new opportunities. So lastly, number 5, I'm going to give you a couple stories here. And number 1 is on Oprah. Now, her early career, it wasn't smooth sailing. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV anchor job at WJZ-TV in Baltimore in 1977 because her style was considered too emotional. Well, today, we see emotion spread all over social media. But instead of giving that, Oprah embraced change and she transitioned into daytime talk shows, eventually launching the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1986, which became a huge influential television program. And today, well, she's a media mogul and a philanthropist, proving that change, when embraced, it can lead to extraordinary success. And she embraced who she was. Another example is Netflix. Well, Netflix started as a DVD rental service, and some of you may remember mailing in those DVDs. I think they were the red envelopes, right, to get another selection. However, when digital streaming started rearing its head, well, Netflix saw that as, well, this is an opportunity rather than a threat. By investing heavily in streaming technology and in original content, wow. Well, Netflix not only survived the decline of DVD rentals, but it became a leader in the entertainment industry. And businesses like Blockbuster Video, well, they didn't make that change. And subsequently, well, they didn't survive. Netflix Adaptability, it secured their place as a global powerhouse and demonstrating that change, when approached strategically, it leads to new and exciting opportunities and often a huge success. So let's sum this up. Embracing change in your own life. Well, most of us know that change is inevitable. And certainly as the years pass, every time we look in the mirror, we see our bodies change, right? And we also notice that our tastes change and the way we do business changes, especially with the growing technological climate. And our core values, though, should be consistent. But our willingness to change strategies, our methods, and even our direction, it's a mindset, especially applicable for today. So no matter where you are in your life, your career or personal journey, well, change is inevitable. And the key is to adapt to the mindset that change is an opportunity rather than an obstacle. And whether I'm applying it to a new book or you're applying it to a career pivot, expansion, or personal change, embracing a healthy mindset, well, it can open doors and expand our imaginations with excitement and hope for the future. So what's one change in your life right now that you can learn from and you can lean into instead of resisting? The results of embracing that change, well, it might just surprise you. So I hope you have really listened to some of the principles here. Check the article that is included with this podcast because you can review all of those 5 principles and the illustrations I've given for each. And I hope you do that to continue your growth in your life because I am all about helping you really live your best years ahead. They are halftime of life, mid-career. These are the best years. And I'd love you to embrace those, embrace that change. It's a powerful, wonderful time of opportunity. Deborah Johnson and I will look forward to being with you again next time. So, bye-bye for now. Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.